Time once again for the Solid Signal podcast for the week of September 3rd, 2018. Wow, how time has flown. Of course, it doesn't help that I've had my podcast recording schedule somewhat upended by some recent travel and the fact that I'm going to be going to several trade shows this month. I will be at the CEDIA Expo September probably 5th and 6th. I need to take a look again at my schedule. For those unfamiliar, the CEDIA Expo is the show for home theater integrators, an unfortunately shrinking crowd of people who do legitimately know better than your average homeowner how to put up a home theater system. If you're going to be there, seek me out. I'll be around. But that's not what I'm here to talk about this week. This week I wanted to talk about live streaming services because this is something that I think we've all legitimately just kind of watched grow up in the last couple of years. You may or may not be old enough to remember when the internet was brand new. You may or may not even be old enough to remember when smartphones were brand new, and I won't hold that against you. But everybody out there, unless you're in the first grade, is old enough to remember when live streaming TV was pretty much impossible. Because they said you wouldn't be able to deliver it to homes because the draw on any particular server would be too great, because the technology to encode stuff on the fly for the internet was really not going to be there for years and years to come. In fact, there are many people who said that live streaming over the internet in a grand scale, such as we see today with Sling and DirecTV Now, would never happen. Of course, never to say never, especially in the technology world, and here we are. We started seeing some of the first live streaming services about 3 years ago, and now we're more or less flush with them, whether it's, as I said, Sling TV or DirecTV Now, who are sort of the leaders, or YouTube TV, Hulu live channels, Philo, which has been around for a long time, but has recently just kind of expanded out into the whole of the United States. They used to only be available for a very small group of people. And a couple of other also-rans out there who are just kind of putting new stuff out there all the time. There are live streaming apps where you can see, for example, see what's on HGTV right now, or what there are apps like Comet, which is a sub-channel, which most people cannot get because it's only available in a few markets and you have to have an over-the-air antenna. Or you can use a live streaming app. It's all possible today, thanks to improvements in the internet backbone and the fact that most people are edging toward having a 100 megabit connection in their homes. So it's really become something that has become, it's just possible now and it wasn't possible just a few years ago. As a matter of fact, live streaming has gotten so good that you can legitimately ask yourself, well, okay, would I rather use live streaming or would I rather have cable or satellite? And it's just going to get better, honestly, with the integration offered by companies like AT&T, who are going to be able to use their own networks in some parts of the country and expand into a 5G network in other parts of the country to try to deliver live streaming to an even bigger crowd. Because live streaming is so reliable, you end up asking yourself, okay, well, what are the advantages and disadvantages? Live streaming services tend to be less expensive than traditional cable or satellite, but also less capable. Generally fewer channels. You don't see the availability of sports programming that you will see on cable or satellite. For example, you can't really get NFL Sunday Ticket with a live streaming service. And you also see, in general, fewer local channels. More and more of the country are finding that your big four local channels are covered on live streaming services, but that's about it. If you like to watch a favorite local channel like New York City's Channel 11 or Southern California's Channel 9, you'll find yourself locked out in a lot of these live streaming services. And forget about some of the smaller local channels you'll find in other cities that aren't as gigantic. Because of my valued position over at Solid Signal, I've had the opportunity to check out several of these live streaming services head to head. I've seen DirecTV Now, I've seen Sling TV, I've seen YouTube and Hulu live channels, and I even got a preview of Philo when it first launched. And I have to say, I'm very pleased to say, for the most part, it's gotten to the point of personal preference. I think that DirecTV Now and Sling TV are both excellent options, and both of them have guides that are friendly to folks over the age of 40, as well as sort of a curated list for those who are under 30 who tend to prefer an on-demand lifestyle. The quality on both has been excellent, and it really it comes down to features and channel selection. There are a few channels, notably the Pac-12 channel, for example, that are available on Sling and are not available on DirecTV Now. This is part of a long-standing problem that the Pac-12 networks have had, providing their services at a reasonable price. DirecTV is not willing to pay that extra money to make sure that you can see the Pac-12 channels because most people, to be honest, simply don't want them. On the other hand, DirecTV has got a wider channel selection, and they've got channel tiers that go up much higher than Sling TV, so that if you're looking for a little bit more premium experience, maybe not quite what you get from the Premier package on DirecTV Satellite, but there's something there for you. And I would encourage you, honestly, to take the free trials of both of these services before making a final decision. Then simply pick the one that works for you. Honestly, you can't go wrong these days with live streaming services. It's a great time to be watching live television no matter who you are, no matter what you are, because there has never been more choice. It used to be that, back in the 80s, you had your choice of the cable company. And then in the 90s, you got DirecTV and Dish. And in the 2000s, maybe you had your cable company, and maybe there was a fiber provider like Fios, for example, that was able to offer you more. But now, if you're looking for live TV, you've got 6 to 8 services that are all competing for your dollar. And when services compete, to paraphrase an old advertising slogan, you win. That's about it for me on the Solid Signal podcast for this week. Thanks again for listening, and I hope you noticed that, some of these podcasts are starting to get a little bit longer, and maybe that's just because I feel like I've got a little bit more to say, but I have gotten some great feedback from some of you who said, hey, go ahead, get a little bit longer if you want. And I try to maybe not go for 2 hours at a time because not everybody wants that. But I do thank you for listening for the time that you have. Go ahead and have yourselves a great week.